We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talent, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadet. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all.
What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of our cells, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-cell care from Suson Essentials on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jodi
Well, we have had a Okay, so first of all, for those who have hung out, we are so grateful. All electricity in our house is on, except for anything to do with the show. So it blew out. So I want to thank everybody for hanging with me and holding on. And I'm just going to play the intro real quick and we'll get this party started. Here we go. And I'm just going to tell you, we have really two powerful humans on the show today. And as you know, if you're watching this, I'm a medical intuitive and amongst other things. And there are times when we bring people on who are so powerful and have such an amazing message that other people, you know who we're talking about, are not willing to let us all come together. But I'm going to tell you that we're on the good side, so we reign supreme. So let's do this. Here we go. Okay, so Blog Talk is not, I have to reconnect, Blog Talk. Give me 1 second. All right. So, Teddy, if you could, Teddy was letting me know that we have
your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Care. I'm Jodi Suson. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
Well, this scores. I'm so glad that we are back here on the show. And with that being said, I would like to introduce my two amazing guests. So coming back from last year, good friend of mine, Dr. Nathan Gerowitz, is a healer and a teacher at Innate Life Chiropractic. He's a doctor of chiropractic, has his degree from the Life University here in Marietta, Georgia. And he keeps up to date on the most advanced research and techniques to ensure he provides the best care. He's trained in both classical and contemporary healing arts, and he has a diverse set of experiences, which you can take a look. We'll put the link to his site on the show in the thread. First time here with me, Dr. Wade Port, who is also an amazing soul. He graduated Life University in 2004. He has been taught, he says, by some of the most powerful visionaries in modern era. And he runs a successful principal cash practice for over 18 years, Life Works Chiropractic, and has been on staff with Arnaud Bounier for 20 years. And I'm going to let them explain who Arnaud is and what he does and what he has taught the groups of chiropractors. He's, let's see, I'm sorry, I lost track here. Wade has been teaching chiropractors for over a decade, has been Tony Robbins' personal chiropractor and voted Chiropractor of the Year by the Georgia Council of Chiropractic. And that was back in 2018, if I recall correctly. So without further ado, and no more interferences, let me bring on Dr. Nate Gerowitz and Dr. Wade Port. So, Grand Rising.
Good morning.
So you guys got my my text message, I hope. I'm like, hold space. Wow. That was like silly crazy. I've never in my entire life run this show and have all the electricity in the house was on except for anything to do with the show. It just blew out. Yeah.
Here we go. We're running some energy here.
Yeah, we are. I mean, because you guys are so amazing. And so I'm like having my husband like clear entities, hold space, bring it in. And we're all like, like bring the troops out. So I just want to thank everybody. So Teddy June, Katie Ganelli, thank you, Chris, for hanging in there. And let me just hide the current comment. Okay, so welcome, guys. And why don't you, I'd like both of you actually to share with everyone, you guys are both brilliant, you're both doctors. Why did you choose chiropractic of all practices? I mean, you could have chosen anything, right? Nate, Dr. Nate, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm glad you're going to pick who goes first. That makes it easier.
I'll lead the way. Don't you worry.
All right. Morning, everybody. So there's kind of two answers to this question, and I'll do them both as briefly as I can. One is that my uncle was a chiropractor. I've been adjusted since I was, let's say, 1.5, 2 years old. My sister and I grew up going to get adjusted, and we're sort of always around, always exposed to it. My dad had a spinal cord injury about 20 years ago, and so I was very heavily observed all of the healing arts that we were aware of at the time, and was at one point considering PT versus chiropractic, and just to see which one was a more correct route for me, and just really fell in love with the philosophy behind chiropractic, or the philosophy of which it's based on. So that's sort of the finite, logical, earthbound answer. And I'm also going to say that, in my opinion, I didn't choose chiropractic. Chiropractic chose me.
Absolutely.
For any number of reasons or confluences of events, I found myself down at Life University, which is where I met Wade.
Nice. And so, Wade, tell me, how did you choose, or did it choose you, chiropractic?
Sure. Well, good morning, Jodi, and thanks for having me. Great to see you, Dr. Nathan. And I think that's for a lot of your listeners and for everybody, right? Isn't that very common as far as whether it's whatever healing art, whatever path or profession, one destination, many paths. And, am I into chiropractic, or is chiropractic in me? And just replace that with whatever path you're on. We didn't grow up with chiropractic. We couldn't spell it if you asked us to. And as a youngster, I certainly was a bit different, black sheepish, and didn't float the mainstream from the get-go, questioned everything, didn't do great in school. It wasn't the academics that were tough, but it was the institution that was tough for me. And, from just being young and being into Emerson and Thoreau and just expanding consciousness in my own ways. Not until I was 17 years old did I experience a chiropractic adjustment for the first time. And the brand of chiropractic, which I know we'll unpack a bit this morning, really, I was infused with the principle of chiropractic, which really just wove together all of the consciousness that I was already experimenting with, honing in on for most of my life. And it was the perfect fit, and it was the aha moment. And it wasn't that I even did an intellectual process to make a choice. It was a clear, I was chosen, and I knew that I was a chiropractor through and through from the get-go. And now I was only 17, so I put it in my pocket for a little bit and knew where I was going to end up. But it was truly exciting the years later when I ended up on campus and was ready to begin my journey of learning. What does it mean?
Wow, I felt that. Yeah, I just really felt that. That's amazing. Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of philosophers, and then I think you also mentioned Emerson. You're into Emerson, as in Ralph.
Yes, as in Ralph.
As in Ralph, who said, "Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen." Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a magic carpet ride all along the way, for sure.
Yeah. So I was, I've been treated by Dr. Nate, and I was in your office watching you treat a patient. And for me, when Dr. Nate was treating me, like, I can't see what's going on. So I'm just kind of like, there, but I'm watching you, Dr. Wade. And so then it gave me a different experience of what Dr. Nate was doing, which I had no clue, right? Because I have face down. Kind of puts me at a disadvantage of learning what's going on. And it was very unique. And, I asked you about about your practice. And one of the things the first thing you said to me, you got everything is about, you got to first ground, then center, then bring in source. And I said, that's what I always say every day, ground, center, source, right? Because if you can ground, center, source, then you can serve, like whatever you're supposed to serve. And both of you serve in a way that's transformational. I've never seen an adjustment like that. Can you explain to people what it is that you are doing and the basis for what you're doing, please?
Well, I'm compelled to just talk about that initial part first. I think we have some time here this morning.
We do.
We do. So, we held a training this weekend in California. And so that part right there, Jodi, is the ground center and get in your coherent heart space. And yes, and open to source. So we do have ritual and repetition of asking for support, of calling in our guide, whatever you want to call them, your guides, your spiritual friends, whatever that is, to provide that spirit and that infinite intelligence, which we speak in rhetoric about. But what does that mean, and what can that look like, clinically, and for someone's experience in their body and every dimension of their being? So what really starts to come up for people, and I'm offering this because I think it may be helpful for people listening, is that's scary. That's scary for a lot of people. And so we touch that, and we open up to that, because what that means is, in essence, it is a conscious surrendering. It is a conscious letting go. Mm-hmm. And we're so conditioned to try to be in control.
I was
And
just going to
so
say that. Yeah, exactly.
the conditioning is to actually have some concept that we even have some sort of control, but the faster we can get to that is completely an illusion. And it's such a fallacy to even think that we could have it in the first place. It even makes the scariness even more real, of what does that mean to let go and let God, or whatever that is for you. So what we train a lot is what does it look like to have courage? And so more and more it's taking courage for people who are choosing to answer the call, to let go, to surrender, and to open to something. When people see us serving and the deep intimacy and vulnerability that shows up in order to, what I consider merging with another being, a lot of maybe other conditioning, and I'm not discounting the value and the need for boundaries, because that is absolutely an art form in and of itself. But they will often ask me, wow, how do you do this depth and this level of healing arts and not take on everybody's shit?
Right.
And I say, well, that's easy. I don't have a belief system. I don't believe that people are made of shit.
Right? Because they're
And
beautiful human beings that have some things to unravel.
for sure. So I'm good in that, in stepping into it with people and whatever comes up. But, here to touch on, it's not just rhetoric. What does it mean to be grounded? What does it mean to be in center? And what does it mean to have the boundary of your sacred space and the grid, if you will, of where you're serving, so that you can open and allow for really powerful things to unfold with people in a very safe way, not only for you, or not only for the person, but for the practitioner as well.
Well, yeah, and it does, and let me just speak to that for a moment. It does need to be safe for the practitioner, and so for practitioners that don't understand how to keep themselves protected, as well as their patients, it's an important skill set to have. Let me just
For sure.
yeah. I do classes for psychologists, for counselors, and I teach them how to keep themselves energetically protected, when they're working with their patients, and how to clear energy so that they're not carrying that on for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to do what you both do, which is serve, keep yourself centered, in center, and still bring in source energy to serve your patients, is really amazing. Dr. Nate, do you want to add to that?
Oh, sure. So part, and I, first off, I agree with everything Wade says, just on policy. However,
you don't think these two are friends, do you?
It's not like he's officiating my wedding or anything.
Oh, you are officiating his wedding? Oh, yay!
He's got really good references. So part of it is everything we do for ourselves as practitioners, and everything, and the space that we hold, the grid that we lay, the way we are able to adapt to the energy and the work we do on our own bandwidth, so to speak. So that way, when we experience any number of different things in the office, we can assimilate those new frequencies, those new new experiences in real time, or as close to it as possible. Part of it also comes down to, in terms of the way we serve people, is sort of the premise that we have. Wade touched on it beautifully, that people aren't made of shit. If it's okay with you, I'd like to expand it a smidge, which is
please.
That, I mean, can we be honest? The human experience is a little intense at times.
Especially with all the energy shifting. I mean, we're in an eclipse today, Dolly.
Right. Of course we are. That's why we did the call today. So we've got any number of different energies, whether that's our physical experience, our emotional reality, dealing with this duality of destiny and free will, and you layer on our personalities, and you layer on all of these different things, which I'm sure we could happily get into in more depth. And it can be pretty darn intense at times. And so what did life within us do? It created a fail-safe mechanism. It created a backup, it created a break glass in case of emergency option for when life becomes too intense. And whether you want to call that injury or stress or trauma or overwhelm or 2020, whichever word you want to use, the body, every layer of our body has a fail-safe mechanism. And what will happen is our body will grab the experience that we are having that is too much. I'll say too much for whatever reason, and go, okay, there's good energy here. There's juice here. I can use this, as Ram Dass would say, as grist for the mill of my evolution, but I cannot deal with it right now. It is too much. And so
we put it down, we quash it down, we compartmentalize.
Totally. That is exactly what happens. And that happens on both an energetic and a neurological level. And so that stress gets stored up in the nervous system, which is the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, the software of that, the chemistry of that, along with all of the wonderful musculoskeletal tissue around it that supports it and moves it around, and goes, cool, we'll deal with this later. It is a kick-ass mechanism so we can survive. Because when it happens, it shifts the entire nervous system into survival mode, which then shifts the entire physiology into survival mode. This is awesome to survive the intense experience. It is not designed for long-term health and thriving and joy and fun in our lives. Because when it's there, it creates a higher degree of chaos. It creates interference that limits the way that our life force, that life can move within us, that our life force can flow. It limits what we are able to do into pure survival mode, because your body will survive at all costs. Your body, and everyone listening, will let you eat your own leg off if you have to survive. That's how powerful that base program is. So the work we do is very much based on, even the stuff we're carrying around wasn't there by accident, and it wasn't there to punish us or hurt us. It was a really great way we survived. But now we can give your physiology, your energetic matrix, a second chance to observe the experience, unwind the tension that was then created, and actually learn from it, grow through it, and evolve on its own path in its own time. And that's part of why the way we serve people might look a little bit different, because that's the baseline approach that we're taking, is how do we help the body's natural innate wisdom run things better and evolve easier.
Right. And so it's interesting. I'm really glad one of my sisters is watching this, Sisters of the Microphone. Zelda Speaks, Zelda Robinson. She's on Mondays. She says,
Hi,
great
Zelda.
rising. Oh, sorry. She says, great teachers. Never heard Chiro pros teach this. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So I was really hoping that Zelda would tune in. Zelda is she's really wise, and she's if you ever watch a couple of our videos on how we train people on how to use our BOD, which is a sound frequency device that puts the brain in a theta state, Zelda is kindly volunteered her time to help do that training. And I want to just kind of put this in perspective about her, not really about the training or the BOD. She's I don't know, I think she's in her 60s, maybe late 60s. Forgive me, Zelda, if I don't get that right. And she used to pick cotton, right? And for 50 cents a day, slave labor, and was that money didn't even come to her, it went to her aunt. And so instead of like choosing to be a victim, like this woman shifted everything and rose up and continues and now leads others, right? So she's amazing to me. And wanting to go back to a few things that you guys said. I want to start with surrender and the idea that we think that we're actually in control, which is really comical, if you ask me. And when I'm adjusted, I give it to God. And I know my chiropractor is giving it to God. Like, so it's this union.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you're talking about with skill. Don't want to eliminate skill. Dr. Wade, you want to expand upon that? Because I watched you do that. And
sure. And, you know, it's like we can't help people go to places that we're not willing to go ourselves. That's a fundamental premise. And so we're conditioned, again, in this world to avoid feeling blank, right? And so whether that is helplessness, whether that is despair, whether that is the polarity, whether that's feeling stuck, whether that's joy, ecstasy, and bliss, right? And so these are a full bandwidth of human experience that we have access to, and the world really teaches to chop off this end, and just put the blinders on it. And if you can't, then we'll medicate you into living in a happy little medium bandwidth where it's not too high, not too low. And, you know, for example, it's the conditioning that's handed down from generation to generation is, you know, if there's something painful going on in life, then wait till the children are asleep and in bed and the doors are closed, and then the parents can do their best to grieve and feel that pain. Hide it from the children. And I plead of them, please, please do not do that. Please grieve with your children. Help them see the rhythms of healing and what that looks like in its most raw and intense forms. And then we grow up a new generation of healthy children who become adults who know how to experience the full bandwidth. And again, I'm make sure to add the joy, ecstasy, and bliss on with the suffering and despair because it's natural. It's nature.
You really struck a chord. I mean, I didn't even, and I didn't even think about, I mean, I do know that we've always, most of us growing up, and many adults quash themselves until they can be alone or whatever. They don't speak their truth. They don't feel their truth. You know, none of those things.
It's not their fault.
No, it's totally not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
But it just occurred to me when you spoke it, like I've always known we learned it from, parents from generation to generation. But when you describe the fact that our parents waited until the kids went to bed to feel their feelings.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time. And if our parents, and so if you're a parent listening to this, if you choose to feel your feelings in front of your children, consider this a gift to them. That you're going to show them that they're allowed. You're giving them, ultimately, you're giving them permission to feel their feelings in life. Would you? Yes?
Yeah. And this is piggybacking on the surrender and on what Nate already said, as far as what is surrender is to help them know that that's their medicine, right? So that when we have a methodology in which to help their frontal cortex, or other aspects of their brain come out of civilian fight or flight brain, that protective survival brain. And it essentially, as he says, gives them a second chance to observe and experience the energy and information from that overwhelming experience. We don't have to call it a trauma or a wound. To say, hey, what do you say? How about now? Can we take a look at it now? And in that is a switch of the program. And we are inducing theta state as well with our methodologies, with a touch to very precise areas of the neurospinal system, and we're actually changing the brainwave frequency to allow enough safety to go and essentially reclaim those alienated, abused, ignored, denied parts of our beingness, to rejoin the whole. And then that the code, if you will, the pearl of wisdom, is allowed to be integrated and assimilated. And so in that is so we say health and healing isn't about feeling better. It's about better feeling more. And that really, it does lead to an important part that I want to offer up. And, we'll talk more about, one of our main mentors and teachers, Arnaud Bernier, who offered to us decades ago, guys and gals, if we want to free people from a paradigm that they are broken and need to be fixed, which is an allopathic paradigm, which allopathy has a beautiful need and a space in our world, and it's called emergency care.
Yes.
And for most people in our circles, we can be pretty dogmatic about being anti-medicine. Well, it's not that. It's just been used inappropriately. Yes, profits over people, and it's been used like that. But what I want to allude to is the lexicon that is used in that paradigm, that then people who have a construct of this awareness to bring wholeness and healing for people, and we're using the same lexicon. How can we free them from a paradigm that has failed them if we're using the same language of that paradigm? So you will never hear Nathan or I use the word treat. You will never hear us refer to people as patients. We don't treat anything, and they are not our patients. The root patient, where it comes from in Latin, means to suffer. And you need not be suffering to receive our care and benefit greatly from this care. And so part of the thing that we offer to chiropractors, and now we have a platform, thank you, to offer to other practitioners, is take a look at the language that you're using. And if it is from a paradigm that has enslaved them and led them to a state of poverty when it comes to health and spirituality, then I would offer to you, pick a new language. Don't use the same language.
Wow. Yeah, I have to tell you,
it was handed to you.
I was going to say
it was given to you.
I know, but that's not where I'm going. The words "I love you" is where I'm going. Because while Dr. Nate and I have known each other for many years, he basically helped me manifest my husband. We should tell that story online. I have a huge focus in my practice on mindset and languaging. And so I know that if we can shift mindset, if we can shift how we speak. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I'm going to cancel this before it comes out of my mouth. She said, "Well, I just need a break." I said, "You better be careful what you ask for." Right. And I explained the story about my a good friend of mine. She has 5 children, all level 9 gymnasts, and she was 14 years old at the time, and she's a master manifester. And so she was doing the horse, a vault, and just before she did the vault, she said, "I need a break." And so at the end of the vault, of course, she had a broken ankle. You manifest what you speak, right? Abracadabra. That's what it means in Hebrew. That's what it means. You are what you speak. So, I have to run to a couple quick commercials. This is just so much fun. Give me a minute and we'll come right back. So, and if you need to take and by the way, we didn't get a chance to talk about this because we're too busy getting all the electricity back up. But this is very casual. If you want to drink something or whatever, this is, you're at home. There are no pretenses on this show. So.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses, and we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jodi Suson. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
So welcome back, everybody. Self-Cell Care, Suson Essentials, the Female Solution. And I just want to mention that on Thursday, it's 8 o'clock Eastern. You can do the math on the other time zones. I think it's 7 o'clock Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're doing a 1-hour segment, myself, Chris, and Dr. Hayes, on how to not manage pain, but just eliminate it, right? And what that looks like. You don't have to manage pain. You can just like have pure health. And there's different ways to do that. And of course, we'll probably talk about that today here on the show a little bit. Like, you don't have to live with pain, right? So where did we leave? We were talking really about, surrendering different aspects of that. And Nate, Nate, we have you here for another 15 minutes. I know you have a patient schedule. Do you want to share a little bit more about surrender before you are serving so if you don't call them patients, what you call them, clients or people? Serving people.
I just use people. And it's, so yes, I'd be happy to talk about surrender and a couple. One thing you touched on first that really caught my attention, where we were all talking about, is kind of the allopathic model, or another way of putting it is called a pathogenic model, which means looking at disease, fighting disease, treating disease.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason that Dr. Wade and I and our friends don't use that terminology is the freedom that it creates and gives people. But it's also just not true to what we do, in the sense that there's another form of care which is called salutogenic, which is very much championed by the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association, of which Wade and I are both members, where it is talking about how do we create health? How do we create more ease? How do we give positive input into a living system, whether that is a single person, a group of people, or a country or humanity, so that it continues to express more of that potential for health, healing, wellness, and well-being. And that's really what we do. And in the same way that whether I am working with someone who is literally on their deathbed, where I have been called to go into hospitals to help someone have more ease in their being as they make as they graduate this earthly experience.
Transition, right? Yeah.
Or coming into the world, and everywhere in between.
Mhm.
How do we help give positive input to help them have more ease?
Yeah, and I will say, so first of all, I'm in total agreement. People come to me and they give me all these disease states. I said, I actually don't work with disease states at all. I don't recognize that. I spent 2 decades with a misdiagnosis that allowed the allopathic model to go through their checkbox and get paid for putting me on 19 medications. Well, that didn't serve me, and it certainly didn't serve people, and it certainly didn't serve my employer, because of a misdiagnosis. And I was explaining this to one of our clients. Because of a misdiagnosis in 1997, even though I was a high performing employee, I was number 1 in sales, you can't sell enough to pay for 19 medications every single month. In other words, I was an expensive employee, right? I came in from the get-go. Besides the fact of what it did to my body, we could just talk finance for a second, I mean, I'm an expensive employee just because somebody took a shortcut and wanted to put a check in a checkbox.
And to anyone listening who, please don't hear us as saying that your lived experience isn't real or isn't valid. We're offering a different framing for it, a different way of looking at it that from our experience allows radically different outcomes.
Right. So my symptoms were very valid.
Mm-hmm.
The label was not valid. In other words, there was an easy button attached to it. And that's really what we're talking about, is that there's actually an easy way to bring grace and ease into the body to live life at full potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so if we can choose to let go of labels, right, then we can also choose. We don't have to, like you said, we have to live into whatever labels somebody else gave us. And we can create our own destiny and our own ideas and our own identity based out of nothing at all other than our own creativity and what we want and to do with our lives.
And this is where, just bringing us back around to the surrender piece, what we're describing, there you have to surrender a little bit, just a little bit at first. We'll do more later. A little bit at first, little by little, to let go of the either actions that you previously taken in your life, the thought patterns or belief systems that led us here, the attachment to any number of different things that contributed to it. And it can be done little by little. Part of the reason that surrender, are you okay if I get a little metaphysical here?
Are you kidding? Because
that was a definitely rhetorical question. I know.
Okay. Metaphysical queen, go ahead.
Part of the reason that surrender is so challenging is that throughout human history, surrender has meant death. I mean, whether you're looking at it from an epigenetic level or the cellular consciousness level, or you're looking at previous lifetimes, if you surrendered, you got your head chopped off. And so
cancel that in the world. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So it is part of the transition that we're making as a humanity right now, is we are shifting from a paradigm of drama, trauma, struggle, and suffering into a new paradigm that our healing, our lives, our evolution, our awakening can be safe. It can be gentle and it can be easy. And that is part of what contributes to, that is part of the reason that chiropractic is on the planet right now, that it was brought to us and that it has survived for this long and continues to serve people. It is a way of very gently, safely, and easily allowing the body and allowing all of our bodies, whether physical, emotional, energetic, mental, personality, our soul or our spirit bodies, to become more clear. And then we can get on with the human experience dance of that we came here to do. that Spirit wanted to have this weird experiment of separation and duality and destiny and free will and emotionality and physicality. And so it first divided into souls, and then we decided, hey, let's take birth and let's work out some of our lessons, and let's serve people and serve this grand experiment. And we got down here, and it was a little bit intense. And this is one of the most consistent and efficient ways that I know of to help people up level, regardless of whether they are, as Wade might say, and I'm poking him a little bit so he talks about this, whether they are fall into the astute or non-astute category.
Wait, say that part again?
Wade, take it from here. Astute versus non-astute.
Yes. So this is a great segue into dropping into, however you want to say it, our brand of chiropractic, which we feel is so connected to the roots. And, Zelda mentioned earlier, like, what? I've never heard chiropractors speak like this. Well, this is the essence and origin of chiropractic. It got diluted and weeded out over time because it entered into a system that it was not welcome. We are not good. We are not good for profits. All right. Because as people become whole, they don't need all those other things. So it has strategically had massive propaganda campaigns launched against chiropractic to keep it small and keep it down. So even for your very high level and educated listeners here, chiropractic was never, ever, never, ever, never about neck and back pain. It was never about crunching the spine so you could alleviate or treat a symptom. Ever, never. It was about uniting man physical with man spiritual. It's founded upon the tone of life and being in harmony with that tone. This is what our original books, what our original founders talked about. And then with the advent of things like insurance coverage and that, it just made it worse. It's the worst thing we've ever done is fall into that, because now you do have to check a box. Is it a headache you're treating? Is it this? And the public is so confused on what chiropractic is. Now go into the piece that you're talking about of creating your own identity and inventing this. Well, good luck, people. Okay, because here's the thing, because for most people, Jodi, who have read a lot of the books, it's living in the conceptual realm. Oh, I get it. The law of abundance, the law of attraction, but are they experiencing that moment to moment in their life? And the answer is no for most people. And if you are going to, whether it's your avenues or expressions or your talented practitioners who are on the call and in your circles, we might even say something, or a lot of chiropractors, well, what we're going to do is we're going to stabilize the spine so that you can have Well, here's the thing. No, we're not. We're going to destabilize the spine, because in that neurospinal system are all the anchors to your identity, who you thought you were in this life, to the trauma, to the wounds. We actually have to, but in order to do that, you have to create safety. You can't just go in there guns a-blazing and blast people open, certainly if they don't agree to that in the first place, which is a lot of voracious practitioners want to try to give people what they want rather than what they are agreeing to. There's a whole nother conversation.
Well, yeah, it's a whole conversation just on whose agenda are you working with.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like a great cheat. It's like a great hack. This brand of chiropractic, which really is connected to the roots of chiropractic, in that all these conceptual realms of harmony with the laws of nature and inventing yourself and letting go of limiting beliefs becomes so much more easy and effortless through this methodology of chiropractic that brings all these honoring approaches into someone's journey and unfolding, because we are unraveling the deep anchors that are there in the neurospinal system and the physiology.
I'm almost speechless. Now,
then our work here is done.
Right? I'm like, that never happens to me. And the whole board is lit up. This is crazy. So if you have a question for Dr. Nate or Dr. Wade, you can call into the show, 515-605-9325. And if you have a question, all you do is press 1 to speak. And you can ask a question, make a contribution, like that. And we have a lot of people we're on several different platforms right now, and all platforms are lit up. Let's just say that. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I really, I love that this might be inspiring some people to really just even charge their mission. And I'm getting inspired just by the dialogue and conversation. And you know what? We taught last week in California. We're teaching this coming weekend in Paris. And then Nathan and I will be in Iowa in a few weeks from now. And it's like, come on, we need to bring more of this to more chiropractic students. But certainly I'm so grateful for this platform, Jodi, because now the teachings that have been passed along to us can really get into your powerful circles of people, and maybe just something could shift or be inspired from them. So I'm grateful.
Well, I'm so grateful to have you both on the show. And so you're going to Iowa and Paris. Wow. So
yeah, it's basically the same place, basically the same thing.
Yeah. I've been to both, and no.
That's a no.
Yeah, that's a no. And I'm going to ask, do you need me to carry your bags?
There you go.
Not to Iowa, but to Paris.
We're going to need a handler.
Yeah.
I love that that we're on the female solution. I will certainly at some of our trainings, just kind of be in there, and I'm just one of the girls. And so a huge part of our training is really bringing in the feminine face of God. And so it's really not a male female, but a feminine and masculine, and finding more and more balance in that for our practitioners. And because remember that trickling in from the pathogenic model is about doing and fixing, and that's very masculine. And so in order,
masculine is you produce.
That's right. And so really to access a ability, and we teach them, listen, and mostly, Jodi, I have to speak to the women in our trainings to remind them, because they can so easily have this, and it's conditioned. So I get it, and I feel for it, and I empathize that, listen, historically throughout the ages, the women were our healers. They were the medicine women. They were the shamans. They were the ones who held this power of creation and birth, and the wisdom and the awareness. And so I really, we emphasize so much to put the power back in the women's hands, who feel like, oh, well, I'm not strong enough, or I'm not tall enough, or my muscles aren't big enough. And it's not about that, because the way we approach, as you saw, as in both of our practices, we're not doing brute strength stuff. This is a finesse. This is a dance. And
it is a dance.
It's a dance. And so for a lot of men, I have to help them be in touch with their feminine aspect, because men have feminine. They have more masculine, but they have feminine. Women have masculine, but they have more feminine. And also for a lot of the females in our trainings, we have to be like, you got to bring up that feminine energy and let go of some of that masculine conditioning that's in there. Thankfully, you can use it when you need it. But a lot of times it is about bringing in more of that feminine, because it is time. We're in a new age that the feminine face of God is what we're needed. Right.
I want to address that. But before I do, I just want to address Chris's comment about Dr. Nate looking really familiar, and she can't place. So Chris, both of you are very old souls, and it's a past life. So
good seeing you again.
Yeah, right. I mean, both Wade, Dr. Wade and Dr. Nate are very, very old souls. But when I met Dr. Nate, and how I introduced him on the show earlier, like a couple of years ago, was that, how old are you now? 32 or 33?
Something like that. Yeah, I'm in that ballpark.
Okay. going on 95 to 100. And so, Chris, Dr. Nate is so wise beyond his years.
Thank you.
And the same with Wade. I don't know you, Dr. Wade, as well as I know Dr. Nate. I am so looking forward to learning so much about you. And, you know, this is just the start. I'm so excited. You're a blessing to this universe. You are a true blessing. Dr. Wade, not so much. No, I mean, Dr. Nate, not so much.
It's a great little segue there for the astute versus not astute souls, which Nathan asked me to speak on. Which one of my teachers, Sally Baldwin, a channel that I was blessed to learn from, just laid it out like this. This is the 80-20 rule, which is everywhere in life. The 80-20 rule, and this was really profound for me, and still is, to have the understanding that 80% of the population is not astute and 20% is. And we use the word astute because it's not a judgment thing. Just like an infant soul or a young soul or a mature soul is. So it's like being an older soul. That's not like some badge of honor. It just is. It's an age, right? And in that same respect, a 3-year-old who's an old soul can drop in some mass wisdom, right? And often does. Mm-hmm. So it makes this so irregardless of age. So
but that's why I really wanted to focus on Dr. Nate's age for the moment, because
right, you know, it's relevant.
It's relevant because it's irrelevant.
Correct.
Right? Because the wisdom he brings in is lifetimes.
Of course.
Like lifetimes of wisdom. And I just want to tell this story before he has to go off and see his people. Post-patient.
Great job. Conscious languaging. Well done.
Thank you. I try to be pretty conscious about that. So I first met Dr. Nate at his outside his office, right outside his office. We're having tea or coffee or whatever it was we were having. And I told him about my love life. And I just want you guys to understand how powerful these people are here. Okay. So I told him about my love life, don't have a boyfriend. And he goes, well, you know, it's because you have a monk on your left shoulder guiding your love life. I said, huh? I said, well, I guess we're just going to have to get rid of it. So he did. And literally the next day, my now husband showed up. And so
if you're single, call my off. No, I'm kidding.
Right. And well, it's really, so here's what I want to say about this. You know, yeah, so you both are amazing chiropractors, but really you're just healers of the sick. Right. And so when somebody can look past your spine and past your physical body, what we can actually physically see, and look into the different realms, right? It gives an opportunity to clear things that you don't even think of. It's not in your current reality. And so he took what I wouldn't even think of, because I was just waking up then. Thank you very much. And I'm, you know, now with the love of my life, who's, you know, so thank you. Let me just say thank you. Let me just end with thank you. You know, the point is that these men, and I don't, you know, Dr. Wade, I don't know all your spiritual, I mean, I can feel, oh, where did he go?
I have those same thoughts all the time.
He popped in, popped out, just like we popped in, popped out this morning. What I want to say is that you bring a energy to your healing that transcends the concept of chiropractic, like what people understand as chiropractic.
And can I provide some clarity on some of this?
Sure.
So we'll start with the monk thing. Just everything has guidance. We all have guidance at our disposal, ready to help us, serve us, support us in any number of ways. And Andrew, you're more than welcome. there are occasionally times that the guides we have floating around are help trying to guide us on things that they really aren't designed for. So we just so for anyone listening, feel free to have a conversation with your own guides, and if you need to call in new ones or more appropriate ones, that's your birthright. You have that. You have that right. With regards to the healing, I love to I lovingly joke. I have a lot of people who come into the office and they have different frequency devices, whether baud or other things of that nature. And I lovingly joke, yeah, I just work with the original. And
Well, and
really,
it's true.
and really, it's what any healer is doing is we are holding space and place for the person that we're serving and the divine to change, make a different choice about the way that they're living. And one of the main ways that Dr. Wade and I both do that is through chiropractic, through this amazing principle that is timeless and ageless. Chiropractic is one of the main current stewards of this timeless principle that we have, all of us have the ability to channel that prime creator energy in us, for us, through us, and around us to uplift ourselves and uplift others. The training that we do and that we are now blessed to continue to bring to other practitioners is to help that be consistent with it, help them have ritual, help them have repetition, help them get a rhythm in themselves to be able to do that, and to have their own art form, their unique morphology. The way Wade was a catcher for many years, playing baseball. I did martial arts and photography. We have a different physical skill set and different morphology that we bring to it. However, the art form that was brought to us by Arnaud Bernier was, how do we do this all in a way that is peaceful?
Mm-hmm.
That if you're our view is sort of, the body's got enough tension as it is. How do we help everything float? How do we help everything be so at ease, both energetically and physiologically, neurologically, that we can provide one adjustment to one area and it can create a global change and open and clear that central pipeline of life force in the body.
So let's speak to that, shall we?
I will allow Dr. Wade to speak on that. I'm gonna go serve somebody with it. Let me just, yeah, I'm gonna go serve some people. Jodi, it was absolutely a pleasure. You're such a beautiful light, and I'm so blessed to know you. And to everyone listening, thank you for taking your Tuesday morning to spend it with us. If there's any way that I can help uplift you in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out.
So let me just let people know how to get in touch with you. So Dr. Nate, I'm a little challenged. Thank you. So Dr. Nate, he's already off. But Dr. Nate can be reached at 224-836-1556 at innatelifechiro.com. He's in Palatine, Illinois, and really easy to get to. I highly recommend that if you're in Illinois, and I know I have a lot of Illinois listeners, go see him. He's amazing. So shall we talk about how we bring peace into chiropractic?
The approach that we teach around the world is called MLS, and Mastery, Love, and Service. And it was brought forth in the 80s by our teacher, Arnaud Bernier, who was going to be on the call, who I'm sure will be in the future.
Yeah.
He had some incredible teachers and mentors as well. And, you know, when he was in med school and in Paris, and he was, he rode motorcycles a lot, kind of in street bike gangs, you know, almost. And they would race, and he had a pretty bad crash. And even though he was in med school, pre-med, he ended up at a chiropractor's office. And that chiropractor, after listening to Arnaud, just leans in and says, there's nothing I can do with what is wrong with you. But what I can do, however, is address what is perfectly right in you. You cannot fight darkness. You can only turn on the light. You cannot fight disease. You can only turn on life. And from there, with that chiropractor, he switched and went to chiropractic school and had some of the most pioneering, brilliant people in chiropractic mentor him. Now he gets out into the field and says, whoa, what is going on out here? This sacred gift of using the neurospinal system as this tree of life, as an interface between this multidimensionality, where we have a premise that says you are a unique and creative expression of intelligent life. And people are out there violating and being, violent with people and not recognizing these sacred layers and, this rack 'em and crack 'em type of thing with no real regard to the sacredness of their soul and spirit. He said, and he mapped out a system to train, essentially to decondition from some of the conventional curriculum that is taught to us. And MLS was born. And one of the main
reprogramming,
for sure. And so one of the main premises is how do we allow their body to be at physiological peace and ease? So instead of like cranking the neck over, with something like that, how do we have them in a floated space and with precision, speed, and awareness? And now we can enter the system at any part of the system and affect the global system. And it can actually assimilate and integrate through. And then, because listen, what did Mary call this before we released it in her system? She called it tension. Oh, I got this crick in my neck. Oh, there's all this tension here. Well, if we can help with the breath, with the awareness, and we can free that in the system, Mary might say later on, oh my gosh, Dr. Wade, thank you so much. I have so much energy now. And I say, or I have so much more energy now. I say, no, you don't. It was there. It was just stuck and bound in the system, and it wasn't, and you couldn't access it. We just freed it. So now you can access it and utilize it for what? For whatever the hell you want.
Right.
Certainly for cellular and biological healing, certainly for other stuff, but for having a kick-ass life, for doing whatever your passion and soul's purpose wants to cue you to do. So there is a very physical aspect of how do we have their body in a very peaceful way. And that's where we access. Just to clean up a little bit, where he says, we adjust. Let's get a little nitpicky with it. We introduce a force into the system, right? We introduce a frequency, a vibration into the system, which then now that person and all the levels of them can now take that in and utilize it for constructive physiological purposes, right? For constructive consciousness purposes. So really we initiate the adjustment process. I don't adjust anybody. I introduce something, a new frequency or tone.
A new energy.
Correct.
So I did that this morning. So
Which
this morning
they can utilize.
Yeah, this morning my right side, I've been doing a lot of energy work, and shifting a lot of belief systems over the last 3 weeks lately. I mean, I'm doing it all the time, but it's been a little bit more intense. And this morning I have a knee replacement in my right knee, so I have titanium. And so the from the hip to the knee this morning, which was rare, I woke up and it was numb. So I got out a frequency using my baud, the sound frequency, and I didn't put it on my ears. I actually put it on the thigh at the frequency that was supposed to. And then I used pressure points to release the energy so we could start flowing. And I'm not saying I'm a chiropractor, like by any stretch, right? But what I'm saying is, I aspire to the same principles that we're all energy. There's this book, and I haven't read it yet. I just bought it. I'm excited to read it. You probably Body Electric. Have you ever read it? So go ahead. I mean, it's by Robert Becker, and it's electromagnetism and the foundation of life. And I had read some excerpts from this book, so I had to buy it. What do you know? Because I think this is going to be stellar.
Sure. And look, we don't own the principle. And I'll often do that when I'm lecturing to young students or chiropractors. I'd be like, who owns the principle? And they'll be like, chiropractors. I'll be like, no, you don't. When was the principle born? They were like 1895. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. and
when was it founded?
Well, D.D. Palmer in 1895 at Davenport, Iowa, who channeled the principles, right? Which are ageless, timeless principles. You can go to Egypt and see cave paintings and see people addressing the spine with consciousness and all this stuff. So it's been happening as old as man. But he organized the principles in an applicable way through a science, art, and philosophy that we now call chiropractic. But what you were doing with your gadget and with your mental focus was eliciting the principle, right? So, I don't lay claim. No chiropractor should lay claim to the principle of healing. Are you kidding me? We have, right? It's one destination, many paths. Chiropractic is, as Nathan said, for him and certainly for me, the most powerful, most efficient, most quick way to access this. And here's a cool piece, with what we were given here, right? And so gadgets are useful. Gadgets are helpful in eliciting the magic and the power within. But that's all it's doing. That little gadget, if it didn't have its battery, well, oops.
Well, and so I want to speak to that because I went to a place in Marietta, Heart, Soul, and Art. You might be familiar. It's a metaphysical shop. Sharon Reagan, she's just amazing. She's also a channel. And they're on set. And before that, and this is Saturday, I went to see my friend Gina Matrell, who is like a Zen horse whisperer, works with people and horses together to help the body heal and help the body heal itself. And so I went and I spoke with her horses first, and they healed me and I healed them. Spirit, right? The co-creation.
Absolutely.
And came home, took a shower, and there's all this chatter, and I couldn't figure out what they were trying to say to me. So I went to Sharon's message circle, and what she said was, she goes, well, I've got a tribal, a chief, the chief of a tribe here. He's chanting for you. And I said, okay. I said, yeah, I've been listening to him all day, but I can't make out what he's trying to say. And she said, well, for one, she said, you're a medicine woman. And he says, lose the tools. He said, you are the tool. I'm like, but I like my tools. And really, what I think they're, and of course, the chief is right. And I like my tools. And what they're saying is, what I heard was, there's going to come a time where we're not going to have access to those tools. So you really need to fine tune what those tools are doing and replicate that as a human, because you have it within you.
The tools are already just replicating nature.
Right.
So we don't have to replicate the tools. Just understand the tools are already replicating what we already have in us. Right. Yeah.
Thank you. And so, since you don't know this tool, I'll just show it to you. It's called the BOD, and it provides white noise, right? So it puts the brain in a theta state. But you can do that with humming.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right? And so and I like my toys.
Yes. Let's use them, right? consciously, and with the awareness and freedom that, it's just like all the supplements, right? That doesn't hold the power. That herb doesn't hold the power. It only unleashes the power within you.
Well, and you can also call the supplement, the frequency of the supplement, into your field.
Sure.
So I really want people to maybe, and I look, supplements were very helpful for me. Okay. I like supplements, but if I'm driving somewhere and I can't, and I know my body needs something and I don't have access, I'll pull it into my field.
Yeah.
And so you can. Yeah, it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I was healing, which was, I had met Dr. Nate right at the end of when I got off of disability, right? I met him about almost a year after I got off of disability, because I was on disability for almost 4 years. And that's when I really started awakening. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was disabled, I was waking up. And then Dr. Nate took me to a whole new level, right? It's let's just activate a few things for you, shall we? Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I want to go back to our bodies and how and I hope it's not offensive when I say your flavor of chiropractic.
I love that.
You do? Okay. Yeah, because it's a great flavor. It has great taste, and it has it's pungent, and it's beautiful, and it's sweet. And so I want you to I feel like there's a story you can share about, there's a miraculous story that I hear that you can share with us. You want to do that for me and the people listening?
Yes. The story will drop in, I know. I'll go back to when I was 17, and I was working at a coffee house on Marietta Square. And I share this with the students mainly, and I'll always share this. And Marietta is the home to the largest chiropractic university in the world. Okay. So I consider it like the chiropractic mecca. And there are a lot of powerful people who come through for teaching. And anyway, so that is when I experienced my first chiropractic experience, and it altered my life forever. And I will often ask, who do you think that was who exposed me? And they'll raise their hand and they'll say, well, Reggie Gold, or, Sid Williams, Jeannie Ohm, or some of these pioneers. And I get to tell them, no, it was a 10th quarter student at Life University. It was a student. And so I offer that always because it's so common for people, in whatever realm of healing arts or any phase of life, to think, well, one day, someday, I'll have the knowledge, I'll have the gadget or the tool that'll help me do this or be this or have this. And I offer this as absolutely not right now. You have the capability to transform lives just with who you are, in the state you're in the place that you're in, every phase, everything that you're still working through. Because this whole thing, this last weekend in California, someone brings up, well, what about, I feel like an imposter. I've got imposter syndrome. Who the hell am I to help somebody else heal when my life is a freaking mess in certain avenues? My relationship with my spouse or my partner is so challenged. How could other people with their relation? You can, and you have the right to. And everything in your life has been leading up till now in order to help you be in a place to be of service. There's no such thing as, oh, one day, someday I'll be ready. You're never freaking ready. You just got to do it. I wasn't ready to be Tony Robbins freaking chiropractor. This guy is he's literally larger than life, and his mission is larger than anybody's I've ever known as far as transforming the consciousness on the planet. And he chose me. What the hell am I going to do for this guy? My teachers are his chiropractor. Who these people are just next level. So I had to get through that and go beyond that and know I had something of value. He saw it in me. I had to see it for myself. And so this 10th quarter student, I went to her house. She served people at her home on a certain day of the week. I think it was Sundays. And there was a big pile of shoes by the front door. I'm 17. And there's incense and candles and funky music playing. There's tables in the living room and the kitchen and the hallway. And people are, moaning. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is something. But I was in the right place. You're getting my good sunrise here. So.
Oh yeah, I've got it coming into it's all good.
Mm-hmm. And so here's what she said to me. She said, Wade, through our life, we become desensitized to our body and our life. I'm going to help you become resensitized. Go ahead and lay down. Wow. And that was my education. That was my lay lecture. And I offer that part as well because we can make it so damn complicated.
Yeah, we can. We have a caller at 706-202, and we'll bring you on in a minute. But I want to focus on what you just said about we've been desensitized, and we were programmed to ignore the signals and just pop a pill to ignore these signals that our body's telling us of what we can do to to flow better, right? And so and I don't know why we're conditioned to ignore signals. I mean, if you're driving a car and the light goes on, for your engine light goes on, you're taking it to be adjusted, or at least
fear. And certainly we could be like, well, it's very profitable to mask symptoms and to mask the stuff. It's very profitable. And certainly there's a pervasive fear. And so that flavor of how we serve through chiropractic is that acknowledgement and like celebration of this gift of life. And so we've touched on it several times, but something Arno offered us as an epigram is blessed is the pain, for it will bear the perfect fruit in perfect time. Now,
well, exactly. I mean, look what my transition.
That's right. What fruit it's bearing right now in your life. So you have the gap between when it was terribly uncomfortable and scary to you to now experiencing as a gift and a blessing that now is charging your mission to serve others through it. It's been closed. And so through our brand, our flavor of chiropractic, the way that we practice and the way that we teach others around the world is to help people shorten the gap between the experience, the energy and information it carries. And again, as Nathan said, is if it is overwhelmed the system and it compartmentalizes or sequesters it. In chiropractic, we call that a vertebral subluxation complex, right? The subluxation. Sub, less, lux or loose means light, Asian condition of less light expression.
Oh, I didn't think about that because I do. I that's so funny. So I completely understand subluxation. No, you don't, Jodi, because you didn't dissect that word. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, right, there's the spiritual language in everything. We have to dissect and take apart the words and go back to their roots. It's all there. It's just so divine how the language was set forth for us. And so to close that gap between the offending experience, the overwhelming experience, and then experiencing it as a gift and a blessing, and then leading us to actually have gratitude for it. And not just.
Oh, yeah. So I trained under Dr. John DeMartini, who actually, by the way, trains Tony Robbins.
That's right.
And I've trained under Dr. John DeMartini for many, many years, since 2018. And the first thing we handled was my gratitude for the misdiagnosis and all the gifts it brought me, right? All the gifts. I want to bring on this caller, 706-202. We're excited to have you here. Please let us know what your name is, where you're calling from, and we'd love to hear what your question or your comment is. So hold on. So welcome to the Female Solution Self-Cell Care. Thank you. What's your question? What's your name?
Grand
and where you
Rise.
from? Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Jodi, and I'm Kwame Sunhorse. I sit here in the stolen land of Muskogee Creeks in Eatonton, Georgia. And, you know, I'm listening to your guests, and I needed to ask a question because you worked at the coffee shop. Was your boss named Bruce?
Bruce Matthews. And I used to live in Eatonton, Georgia.
Yeah, well, Bruce and his wife, because she had a dentist's office 2 doors down from the coffee shop, right off the alley in the square.
That's right.
So yes, I remember that. And you know, Life College, like you said, is a very important place because Polytech also was the important place. And Life College got his start came, and I know you know the history of what he did in The Blind Man, the Black Blind Man, that he did the chiropractic work to restore his sight and I think his hearing too.
His hearing, yeah,
but
I knew
that
about
was
the hearing.
one of the pivotal points that helped him to create that institution there. And for what you experience and hearing your story at 17 and a student, you know, helping you, because I drove in that area and I met him because I used to have to go to his office when I drove for Federal Express. And I would always have talks with him about, you know, different things that went on as a people because of what he had interacted with my people with doing that, even to the point where they wanted to exhume the body and put it on display, and the family got mad with him. But anyway, those were parts of his story.
So you both were living in that area,
here,
Kwame? So you're both.
Yeah, but I was going to ask the question. Now that he's achieved and he's experienced that he has this ability of being a helper for people, even with the introduction from the lady that brought him there to her home, the part that he sees now in your helping, especially today, because what you're sharing with us in this new moon eclipse is a awakening for those energies that people will hear coming from you, hearing your story. And you're doing adjustments for people in the heart and mind. Is that the degree that you see your work moving towards, or do you see that it's more physical or more spiritual?
I'm so glad you called. That we have connection with Eatonton, Georgia, where I used to live, and with the coffee house. Didi Palmer. So he's talking of Sid Williams, the founder of Life University, who he's met with. And he's also talking about Didi Palmer, who adjusted Harvey Lillard back in the late 1800s and started Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa. So a little mixing there, which is a beautiful mix. And Didi Palmer told us that chiropractic came here to help unite man physical with man spiritual, and that chiropractic is founded upon tone. And so again, the roots of where we come from is spiritual. He was a spiritualist, right? Which was the third largest religion on the planet at the time. And, you know, I used to get poked at when I was in school.
Hold on. Wait, whoa. Back up for us.
Okay.
So we're combining physical and spiritual. And then you said he was a spiritualist, which was, and can you repeat what you said about what he was?
Spiritualism was the third largest religion on the planet at the time.
It was a religion.
Yes, you can look it up. Spiritualism.
What?
Yes.
So it's not like a thing, like a pronoun.
Right.
It was a
practiced religion. It was recognized as a religion.
Wow.
Yeah. And look at that, religion, right? Because Didi Palmer would also say, and I want to answer his question, that we have a moral and religious duty for people Now, a lot of people get a hickey when they hear the word religion, right? Because they think of organized religion. That's not what he meant. He didn't mean organized religion. He meant the moral obligation and duty that we have for people is to help them sort out their affairs in the realm of their physicality. And Sun Horse, I lost his name on the screen.
It's Kwame.
Thank you. Yes. And then the religious duty and obligation to help people sort out their affairs in the realms of their spiritual well-being. Okay. So this is our founder. This is our original founder. And so now because it seems like, oh, well, what Nathan and I are talking about, where we're taking it, maybe we're just actually returning back to the.
That's how I feel.
And the application is going to change because we are changing and evolving, and we're all going through a change. And so truly a physical change, because the structure has to support the function. So if there's a new higher frequency coming to this dimension here, we have to change in order to harness that frequency. And, I don't go out and do public lay lectures necessarily talking about this, but I certainly know this. But all we have to do is continue to serve the people. It is essentially food, this frequency food for people. And we don't have to talk about it and anything. Just let them come in. Let them know that we're helping to clean them up, serve them. And that is going to ease the transition, because it's going to allow for the structural metamorphosis happening in their hardware, in their brain, the structures from the pineal gland to all the different stuff that's changing, in order for them to be able to accept and sustain higher frequency, a higher consciousness, which is coming, and force it. We just keep taking the small sequential steps, continue. And I don't like calling it doing the work anymore, because we are in this new age. We are in this new season. So I just, currently I'm referring to it as just the self-mastery, and whatever that looks like to us. And it's coming. And so our schedule for 2023 for our programs of us teaching is called Prepare Yourself. And that's what we're doing. I hope that answers the question, Sun Horse.
Kwame?
Yes, and the reason I asked the question is because of the eclipse today. With this alignment and with this eclipse, and we're having a blood moon on the 7th of November, these frequencies that are coming as our magnetic consciousness that are inundating everything on the planet. And what we have to do is, like you do in chiropractic, you have to make adjustments.
That's right.
Of the body, because the spine is like the cord to all the other parts of the body. And if it's not in alignment, then there are blockages. And this is what chiropractic does. But there are also blockages of the spirit. That's right. We have to understand that in nature is a great frequency that helps to readjust the spirit of the person, because in the word spiritual is the word ritual.
That's right.
And what rituals you do in performing physical work that you do on the body, but there's also, like you walked into the house and they were chanting and burning incense. Those are also avenues in which we connect. These are the ways in which we're having to look at the new evolution of human moving from a Homo sapien to a Homo spiritus. And these are the ways of our adjustment to this evolution of the DNA activation in the consciousness of human.
That's right. Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add to that. Kwame, I love when you call in and share your wisdom. I really do. You're such a bright light in my world, and I love it when you choose to share your light with others and call in. So thank you for that.
And
going to add to that, Dr. Wade?
I do, because he really understands, and I would offer to all of us, it's not what it seems. And it's like we've trained so hard to grasp and comprehend what is happening now. Well, please know that it's going to change. And so even for historical chiropractic to talk about the neurospinal system being the conduit for this energy to move through us and for us to experience life here, that's changing. And so, the bones themselves harness light. They contain phosphorus, right? The light bringer. And so it's all going to, our lymph system has historically been the trash system of the body, right? Fighting, right? And so it's as without, so within, all these cliches, right? Until we bring the soldiers home within, we won't bring them home outside.
Right.
Just a reflection of the battle we're fighting inside is what it looks like out in the world. It's just a mirror for what we're doing inside our bodies. Well, that's going to change. So our lymph system actually will change its function and purpose, just like the different structures of our brain and bodies will change. It's going to be a whole new ball game. We don't have to. Again, like I said, we can't force it. But just know that the construct of what you have learned to address and help with currently, it's changing.
Well, right. And so we have another caller too. So
awesome.
Kwame, do you want to say anything else to be complete, or? I mean, I listen to you all day, so
everything, all is in divine order. And for these seeds to be planted with the energy of this eclipse, we're putting into the planet the frequency of change, because there are two things in life that we always will have is choice and change. How we choose to live to change the human beings on the planet.
Well, and I also want to say, I feel like what we're bringing in is balance, like balance and partnership versus the old concept of dominance, right? And I wanted to address something because I don't want it to slip through.
And could I say one part, because you said shaman? I think that's
for sure.
Shaman. Yeah, and the word for shaman, because he spoke earlier saying we have to change our words, and words have etymologies, but we also change and make words out of words. And shaman is nothing but a spiritual helper assisting minds awakening nature.
I agree. I mean, it's the old medicine man, right? The old medicine woman.
Right. It's the spirit. It's that we become spiritual helpers, awakening minds, assisting nature.
I love that.
Is the first community. And we have to begin to come back to her. She is the mother of us all. And so what we are having is this reawakening, this reconnecting, this remembering. And this is what we're here, because it's all happening. No one can stop what's going on in our galaxy, in our universe, in our cosmos. We're in a part of the galaxy that we haven't been in 26,000 years. These are new energies that are here for the new evolution of the next 7 generations.
Well said. Well said. And with that, I want to add to that. Going back probably about 30 minutes ago, we were talking about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And even though I'm female, I've always been the divine masculine because I was forced into that as a child, right? To be more masculine. And my husband, even though he's male, he was the divine feminine. And so we still have self-mastery, right? We have more to do, but we have brought balance, which is what I think this eclipse is also about. We brought balance into our relationship so that he can have more masculine, I can have more feminine, and I can be the balance of the divine masculine, feminine. He can be the balance of the divine masculine and feminine. And because a man who has ownership of his femininity, like you and Dr. Nate, by the way, is really beautiful. And then also who can also stand in his masculinity. We all need to empower and embrace both, because we are made in the image of a higher power. So he's not one or the other, he is both.
Yeah. What parent do we refer to the earth as?
Mother Earth. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It's time for her to feed us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for ringing in. I hope I get to meet you in person one day.
Yeah. So Kwame and I talk over the phone. We've not met in person yet. So we're going to have to make that happen. And my husband says, life is a balancing act. We continue to grow. Yeah, he's amazing.
One thing I want to touch on here is what we have as far as just understanding and awareness and consciousness. I have a personal charge and mission to bring it to all of the people who are seeking it and are ready for it. And a lot of times, a lot of this deep dives that we do really only is accessible to a very, very small part of the population. And so I love bringing this awareness and consciousness out to the lay public, to the soccer moms, the CEOs, the people in corporate, the people, at any stuff where if I go in too hard with a lot of this high level awareness, consciousness stuff, it's not accessible to them. And so what I have a knack of is making it very palatable for people. And, there's a often saying in chiropractic, I don't know if it's in the rest of the circles, is meet them where they're at. And
that's what I always say too. You have to.
I get that, but I would alter that just a little bit. Don't meet them where they're at. Meet them just beyond. Don't meet them here. They can't connect. I can't connect to that. You're speaking a foreign language. I don't understand. I don't think your services are for me. So instead of meet them where they're at, meet them just beyond, something they can see, something they can reach, something they can access. And then as they grow, then meet them just beyond that. As they grow, meet them just beyond that. Instead of this stark contrast of language.
You're not going to meet people where they're at. Oh, the board is lit up. We're going to have to do. Do you want to take a couple quick calls?
Let's take a call. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so we've got 312-671, and it's from the Chicago area. And just I say this for the Chicago area simply because it's what was prevalent. This is we're so grateful for you calling. This is not an opportunity to do a commercial. But if you have a question for Dr. Wade or myself, or you want to share your thoughts on what we're speaking about, that is awesome, and we welcome that. So I'm going to bring on 312-671. Welcome to.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's Jodi, right?
Yes, it is. We have Dr. Wade.
Okay, this is Minister Plump, Robert Floyd Cole Plump, Chicago, Illinois. What I have is a statement, and I would like for Dr. You say Wade?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I would like for him to chime in on this because I work with grassroots organizations, which is helping the homeless, helping the needy people, helping to save the children. This is something that, we are working on in the community to help stop the violence, and especially in the Black community, but all over the world. We hold ourselves accountable
for the conditions of our communities. Support our effort as we exercise change. Now, that's the one thing in life that is guaranteed. And I like to commend you too, Jodi, for bringing Dr. Wade on the program, because it sounds like to me that you are a shero, and Dr. Wade is a hero, and so am I. I'm a 23, before Michael Jordan too. But Jodi, you the flip side of Oprah Winfrey, and welcome to the Female Solution. You know, that's a part of me too, and I am thankful that I can share that little idea with you, and also with the last brother. What was his name again?
Nathan Gerowitz.
Yeah, Dr. Nate Gerowitz.
Yes, and I'm saying yes, we can. We can change, you know, our lifestyle, you know, from wrong to right. And I think that Jodi knows what I'm talking about in terms of serving God, in terms of honoring God, your father and your mother, and the elders. And I'm an elder. I'm 76 years old, or 76 years young. I take that back. I'll be 77 November 18th. And I want to invite.
Happy birthday coming up for you.
Everybody. Thank you. God bless you. And we love you, and keep up the good work, because you have a great program about, you know, identifying, Jodi, you know, with the consciousness of developing each human being. See, I have discovered myself as one of the world's greatest human beings in terms of PR, public relations. I even told Muhammad Ali one day, I met him, and I told him that I recognize him as the world's greatest boxer, but I'm the world's greatest PR person. So I respect that, Jodi, with what you said. But I've been working with Sister Naima and them and the Female Solution over 20 years, even before you got there. And I'm going to continue.
Oh, way before I ever got there. But I respect
everything that you said. God bless you. Here,
thank you.
We love you. Keep up the good work.
Minister Plum, I met Oprah Winfrey in, I think it was 1986 or 1987. And I was on her show. And I really liked that. Well, I was in the audience, but she was interviewing me from the audience. Yeah, because I'm so shy. I actually am shy, but I speak when I'm pushed to speak truth. And she was actually one of my inspirations about getting out and overcoming mediocrity. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, because she inspired me to speak truth. So
hallelujah. Well, she is a 23, and so is the Female Solution, and you are too, Jodi.
What is a 23?
You know, I just like to say this here too. You know, I was kind of raised up with Dr. King, so I do music, music production, and we do like black and white together. All of the people got to work with just in the community to help promote unity in the community, even black in black love. There was a time early on in the 30s and the 40s, black people, 40s and 50s and 60s, they was in love with each other, and even in the 70s and the 80s. But after that, they became disconnected. So one of my purposes is to reconnect the black community, but also more the ultimate community, which includes everybody: black, white, red, brown, and yellow. And I'm gonna
I would love it to see that. I want to see a time where we stop talking about color, because I don't see color.
Well, you know, we do have to, you know, amend or correct the things in the black community. No one else can do that but our community. That's a fact.
Yeah, so I'm just telling you personally, I want to stop talking about religion. I want to stop talking about color. I want to stop talking about things that divide us. And just have people look at people's hearts.
Well, I'm going to focus on unity in the community. And that means all people, okay?
Thank you.
For those that consume and respect everything and everybody in Mother Nature that created us all, because we all come from the earth.
Yes, we do.
That's all I got to say. Thank you so much. Here. Have a blessed day now. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We have one more caller.
You're welcome.
And it's 773-450. And let me put that on. Welcome to the Female Solution Self-Cell Care. You have Jodi Suson and Dr. Wade Port.
How you doing, Jodi? I sure appreciate it. This is Obadiah. Just listening in, a wonderful program. You know what you said at the end was true. The whole program in summation. You know, we just have to learn to get along and we all equal. I think the society spends so much time creating divisions. Oh, you're overweight, you're too skinny, you're too fat, all this silly stuff. That we don't focus on the fact that we need each other.
Right.
And this whole program is actually devoted to just the unity of your individual self that helps you be unified with everyone else. And that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so it's not so much about what color you are in. I'm looking at your spirit and your inner being. That's just a shadow of who you truly equal, a piece of who you really are. But when we look inside of ourselves, we see something different even in other people. So I feel like this show is dedicated to that inside of who you are to connect with other people, not this division that we have, which creates a division within ourselves. Why do you think you have so many wars and people at odds with each other? Isn't that a horrible way to live?
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing so we can be balanced out and live life the way we're supposed to as a whole. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Obadiah. Thank you. I want to say this to that. You know, I grew up. You know, there was 5 kids in our family, and one of those children were obese. She was obese, and but not really terribly. But she was overweight, and I was the skinny little thing. And she was embarrassed to be naked in the bathroom. We're both females, right? And she was
90 seconds
embarrassed by all these things relative to her weight. And I said to her, I said, I love you as you are. I said, your weight doesn't make you. And this is as a kid. So if we can teach our children to focus on the heart and be heart-centered and love people for who they are inside versus their body bag, which is simply on loan to us anyway. You know, and not that we shouldn't take care of our body bag. And she has.
60 seconds.
But you get my point. Yeah? Obadiah, are you still there or did you hang up? I think he's gone. All right. So, Dr. Wade. Well, we've had lots of callers today. You have shared so much wisdom today. So let me just say from the bottom of my heart, or from the entire heart, why stop at the bottom, right? Thank you for sharing your wisdom with the world. I am beyond grateful for you enlightening me and everyone else around you, and for what you did here today.
10 seconds.
For what you did here today on the broadcast, and what you do every day. So thank you. What else would you like to share before we complete the show for today?
I think for me, what's up with the beautiful callers and with this platform you've created and with everybody in the female solution that's been created over these years is the number one. And that is to learn to unconditionally love ourselves.
Yeah.
Then we are capable and able to unconditionally love others. And when we do that and learn how to be that heart-centered life and the coherence that's created like that, somebody doesn't get raped in this town. Somebody gets fed here. Abundance that is here and available. And at our access will be provided when we remember how to love ourselves again.
So well put, because at the end of the day, everything's all about love, right? Because it's the right frequency to have.
Nothing else will satisfy us.
Yeah. God bless. I need to have you back on the show. So if you want to hold on for a second, I don't know if you have an appointment that you have to go to, but I can end the show and we can talk about another date if that works for you. Okay. Let me run
It's
that.
been a pleasure to be with all of you. Thank you so much.
So thank you to everybody for your engagement. We're beyond grateful. And I'm just going to see if I can run the ending, but apparently not. The system is not functioning. So I'm just going to end the show on the female solution. Here we go.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And let me go to the other system. I don't even know where it's at. Ah, and that one. And that one. There we go. And I'm hoping I can get this brand to work. But and here's the brand. Here we go. We'll just do that.